Okay, so we had just finished chapter 3 in Nehemiah, and now we're beginning Ezra 3. So I'm gonna jump right into it. So, as you know, in Ezra 3, they were just kind of like sad that their country was in ruins, and they're trying to figure out where do they go from now. Where do they even begin building? That's what Ezra 3 is about. So, a small remnant of Israelites, 50,000 returned from captivity. What remnant means is like the remainder of Israelites, the leftovers, the remainder of Israelites, the remainder of people. So a small remainder of Israelites, 50,000, returned from captivity. Where do they start beginning, right? Like to rebuild everything that was around them that was in ruins. Where do they start rebuilding? So the Israelites split up. They went to their own towns, to set up basic necessities. And then after a few months, they gathered again in Jerusalem to show where their priorities were, which is their priorities were to build up that wall for God. So where did this remnant of God's people begin the rebuilding process? I'm glad you asked. They started at the altar, the place of sacrifice. The altar would be in Jerusalem on the ground outside the temple. Relating to today, the cross is always our starting point in rebuilding our life. So we cannot follow Jesus without starting at the cross, because the cross is the heart of everything. The cross is everything. So they began at the cross because they were not only returning to the land, but they were returning to God. And the Israelites were returning with a purpose, and they would not forget it. So then another year and a half goes by, and they begin rebuilding the temple itself, right? Here's the heart of the story. Rebuilding a place for God to dwell among them. That was the whole point. To rebuild a place for God to dwell in among them. So when we return to God and meet Him at the cross, we set up His temple inside of us. So when we do not just the salvation prayer, when we ask the Lord, into our hearts, and we, believe that He rose and died again, actually meaning it, we receive the gift of the Holy Spirit, and that's how we build His temple inside of us. And that's really what it's all about, the Christ in us, the Jesus Christ in us, because we're building His temple inside of us. So then the solid foundation was laid. That is the solid foundation, the cross. Okay. And then all the people gathered for a great celebration, and their sounds of joy and praise can be heard for miles. They sung praises to the Lord, still surrounded by ruins. And with all the wickedness that their forefathers had brought upon them, they still were celebrating. They was like happy because the foundation was laid. There was